Ministry, the United States Ministry of Defense, they are planning airstrikes against some link group between FLA and JNIM, but they are mentioning specifically JNIM, a Qaeda link affiliate in the Sahel in Mali. So, but the big twist about this particular news is that the Malian government found out about this information the way you and I are reading the news from Washington Post. So it says a lot about the credibility of the Washington Post. It says a lot about the people that the Washington Post represents. You know what I mean? It's all about credibility at this point in time. The United States said they are going to be carrying out multiple airstrikes in Mali. They talked about, they listed some number of key JNIM assets. They mentioned Abu Baida. They mentioned about four names of some of the JNIM leaders. And they said they are going to carry out a huge airstrike, knocking out this command control structure of the JNIM. And after which they said they are going to look forward to carrying out a coded, rescue mission for the missionary pilot called Kevin Ridout in Mali. And they were, they were building up for this big, military campaign. And, the big side that everybody needs to look at is how the people of Mali responded to this information coming out of the United States. Now, if this was Nigeria, you know how some Nigerians be behaving. They'll be very, very excited about this information. But when you look at the way the Malian public, the Nigerian people, the way the Burkinabe people, the way they responded to this information, they weren't having none of it. It shows you that the mental decolonization is already at 85%, in my opinion. Because before you decolonize yourself completely, mentally, you have to be decolonized. And when people respond to a call, or a propaganda by the United States to launch some airstrike, and they completely reject it, knowing the type of reputation that the United States have, then I think I'm going to give the Malian people, the Burkinabe people, and the Nigerian people a lot of credit. Now, let's get into the conversation, right? Because I want you to see for a moment, right, a sovereign nation in Africa, one of the most sovereign nation. Thank you for coming. One of the most sovereign nation in Africa, if not the top two most sovereign nation on the continent of Africa, without anybody taking over their command control structure. A nation, the United States claims that it was trying to help to fight terrorism, was not consulted, not informed. The foreign minister of Mali, Abdoulaye Diop, had to go on press himself because the pressure was building up. People were beginning to ask, what are you doing? According to the information we heard from some top Malian bloggers, that the authorities in Mali have been non-stop getting phone calls that why are you trying to take us to the Stone Age? Just cooperating with US, people already see it as going back to the Stone Age. So because, they've gone a long way. Mali have come a long way in this conflict to now turn back to the same people you are trying to save yourself from. You know what I mean? So, according to the information, Abdoulaye Diop had to go to the press conference and say, we were not informed. No request was made by the United States. This is not partnership. This is something entirely different. And in this video, we are going to unpack to you what is going on here. And more importantly, why the United States would try to float a story like this without ever picking up a phone to consult Bamako on what the operation is going to look like. So, and did the United States speak? Did they debate in their Congress about this particular information? Yes, they did. Now, what they are trying to tell you by telling this level of lie, we are going to bring it to you because it's a lie. The Malian government have come out and say it's all a lie. So because there was no communication, and the United States said they've communicated and they are going to be, they were talking about partnership. You only launch a mission in partnership with your partner. So Abdoulaye Diop is coming out to say Mali and the United States is no partner. And I see some bloggers, they've made certain mistakes today when they were analyzing the key security partner in the Sahel. And I'm going to come here right now and I'm going to be debunking those things too with facts. I think they might be making mistakes. So if they are saying this video, please, I want them to make adjustments and get the update. So according to the information from Washington Post on July 22nd, the Trump administration is weighing a military strike against the Jama'at Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, what we call the JNIM, an affiliate of Al-Qaeda, operating across the Sahel. Now, current and former U.S. official told the Post, told Washington Post, the senior administration figures are divided on the proposal. That's the conversation that they are arguing back and forth. Now, I want you to pay attention to one thing. What they are trying to do is trying to get political relevance, because they know that once they talk about any of the Sahel states in Africa, they know a lot of African people are going to be paying attention. But what type of attention are they trying to get for themselves? That's the billion-dollar question. So one of the loudest voices that have been pushing for strikes, they call him Sebastian Gorka. We don't even know this person. This name is very, very relevant. This is the first time I'm hearing this name. Now, the White House National Security Council Director for Counter-Terrorism, that was what they call him. Now, if this is approved, now listen to that statement. They said, if this is approved, by who? They said Mali will become the 8th country where President Trump has ordered military strikes since the start of his second term. 8 countries, and in the case, the government of the country being targeted apparently doesn't even get a courtesy call towards this particular military plan that they're having. Now, when asked about the report, a U.S. administration official who notably refused to confirm or deny the strike plan, all right? He didn't confirm, he did not deny. So it has no basis to even be put out there. I shouldn't be talking about this information, but because of the kind of mental effect it can have on the people, that's why we are talking about it, all right? Now, pivoted immediately, they said that the U.S. has been urging Mali. They have been urging Malian government and the governments in the region. Now, listen, this is the main fact I want you to get. They pivot immediately from the main question, which is, are you going to launch a strike or not? To, we have been urging, that's the U.S. representative, the government in the region, that is government of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, probably Chad, and every other puppet government around the whole place. Now, they said the U.S. have been urging the government in the region to purchase U.S. equipment and services. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the message they're trying to pass across, you know what I mean? Because now, come to think of it, they have put all the sanctions on the planet on these people. But these people, they have been able to realize that regardless of the sanction, they continue to bring in new military capability. Have you all heard? Permit me to announce to you that this is the first time that we're seeing Togolese, Russian collaboration. It has started. You might not know about it, but it has started. According to information, Russian personnel are currently operating on the southern part of Togo. Now, part of this Russian units, they moved equipment that was probably going to Mali. They moved it from the Togolese port today. So, I mean, a lot of people can continue to campaign against Russia, but at the end of the day, everybody is turning to Moscow. Regardless of the type of disinformation campaign anybody can have, a lot of people are turning to Russia because, for you to have that conversation about sovereignty, it is not the name you are seeing on the board. You are going to look at the field and you are going to check who is actually putting the score on the board. And that is Russia, ladies and gentlemen. Central African Republic, they are all right. They have Wagner right there. That's not African core. They have Wagner right there in Central African Republic. They're doing a very, very phenomenal job. And over the years, the military of Central African Republic is now one of the most formidable military in Africa right now. Now, let me tell you this. When people talk about a military being formidable, the funny thing is a lot of people are still looking at the unipolar rating. You are still following Western media, rating of military. You have to look at what is going on the ground. You have to look at who is under fire every day, who is getting tested, and who is scoring the points. So right now, Malian military, Burkinabe military, Nigerian military, Central African Republic military, they are up there on the chart, and they are really, really doing a very, very great job. We have posted some videos on our Telegram channel. So if you want to see what is currently going on in Kidal, how the people are living in the Kidal region, the Hagelk region, the Gao region, you can go to our Telegram channel. People are actually celebrating. But when you look at what the Western media is trying to paint on the internet, you would think this country has fallen apart. But I want you to see the information. You can actually go to our Telegram channel. You can see the video. And some of the people on our Telegram channel have actually seen the video. Now, according to the information, they now made a statement, right? Apart from saying that they are urging the governments around the region to buy US equipment and get US services, they call terrorism in the Sahel a multinational problem. And then, ladies and gentlemen, here is where the case get interesting, right? They placed the blame squarely on Russia. They said Russia can no longer handle the situation. Have you seen the headline of Western media? Whenever there is an attack in Mali, they be like, oh, Russia has lost control. Russia has done this. So if you want to trick the algorithm sometimes, just say, oh, the power is slipping away from Russia. Just say, oh, Russia is losing control. Like, they have so much tried to project this image of Russian failure. But at the end of the day, we know what the result is on the line. It's a fight. People are going to drop from the right to the left, but who is going to be able to take it more than the other? So from what we have seen, the FLA launched a strike on Anafis and they lost. So every other thing you are saying is trying to create a PR to overshadow the victory of Anafis, which was a defeat to certain people. So now, let's continue with our information. So the Malian Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Diop was emphatic. He stressed that the Malian government was not informed about this operation and no requests have been formally made, directly or indirectly through any channels, by the United States. Now, let me read you the out of the statement. A true partnership is based on, respect for sovereignty, win-win partnership, and all whatnot. And any intervention should be the subject of prior consultation between probably the defense minister or the foreign minister of both countries. Now, Mali is really, really identifying the threats here. They have seen the threats. They know who to rely on. They know who to deal with. They know who to partner with. They know who to take consultation from. And they definitely know that that person to take consultation from in any capacity has nothing to do with the United States. So this is not us condemning the US. This is, we are saying what is on the ground so that a lot of people from other countries, you can see this now. You can get the information, because Nigerians, if they say they are going to strike Nigeria tomorrow, some Nigerians will still be celebrating till next tomorrow. But these are sovereign nations, so this is how it is done. Now, this is the language of the government that have been through this before, because Mali, they've experienced the United States. They've had their drone base in Agadez, where they had, command control over reconnaissance and surveillance over the entire Sahel region. You see, Mali remembers the U.S. military operation in their country. Mali remembers the Operation Barkhane by the French, special operation squad that lasted for over a decade, and they got no result. In fact, when the US, the British, the Germans, the French, everybody was in Mali, terrorism moved from northern Mali, moved to central Mali. It was not in central Mali before, And when the Wagner came in, before it became the African Corps, they pushed terrorism back to the northern part of Mali. So what partner will you rely on? What partner will you if something was in the north before and you partnered with certain people and it moved to the central part, it was now going to the south. When they say Al-Qaeda was trying to take over a country, that was when the United States and everybody was there. All right. But when Russia came in, terrorism moved back to the north. So let's be very, very clear. They are not here to solve the problem, because they talked about JNIM, but they refused to talk about FLA. So an FLA is partnering with JNIM. We have seen the flags. So if they've become a tag team, so that's a terrorist, that's an Al-Qaeda tag team. All right. So now, according to information, Mali will not accept to be treated as a junior partner in its own security affairs. And now under the AES alliance, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger has made it crystal clear: sovereignty over anything. All right. Sovereignty is non-negotiable. we would not negotiate our sovereignty. Now, Abdoulaye Diop words carry weight because they are directed at a pattern. Now, not just one news cycle. The pattern is this. Western power decide what African security problems are. Western power decide the solution, and African countries have to just follow, right? Diop is saying no. He's saying if you want to help, talk to us directly. And we are going to decide if we, because, right, it's not just talking, right? You have to tell them what you bring to the table, how long you are going to be there, give us your operational time. How many, like, what do you want us to help you with? You are not definitely going to pay. We are going to sponsor whatever you need. And it's going to belong to us when your mission is done. But you know, when the US gets there, they want to command everything. They want to tell your soldiers. I mean, we don't need none of that over here. They literally sold aircraft to Nigeria, and they told Nigeria, we don't want to see this aircraft in certain theater of operation. That was what the United States did. So Mali is not going to be accepting none of that. And before this propaganda came out, you know, they made so many propaganda to destroy the image of the Russians. And here we are. So Diop is saying no. He's saying that if you want to help, you can talk to us, identify our real needs, don't plan operations on our soil, and let us find out through Washington Post. These are the statements of Diop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not funny. But the funny aspect of this whole thing is that the United States government knows Mali is not going to approve a unilateral American airstrike on Malian territory. They know this. You can't be saying one thing and doing another thing. They know that Mali is not going to agree. All right. Now, because they know this, so the question we have to ask ourselves is, why is the United States floating this type of propaganda through a popular mainstream media in the US called Washington Post? So there are 3 layers to this. My opinion, there are even 4 layers to it. All right. And I want you to stay with me a little bit more, because you will really, really be very, very excited when you look at these 3 layers that Washington is trying to push. All right. Now, Washington cannot accept the fact that the Sahel has slipped away. Now, ever since they were kicked out of the Sahel, sometimes they sit down and they be like, maybe we did it right. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we should have gone this direction. Maybe we should have gone that direction. I think they sit down for a minute and they used to think that maybe we were very close to being successful. Maybe we were not. Maybe how we handled things. Maybe because of Emmanuel Macron's statement in Ouagadougou. So they are not trying to accept the fact that you left the Sahel, one of the best regions when it comes to territorial endowment in Africa, and you left it to Russia. Remember, part of the US foreign policy is to make sure that Russia, Germany, countries like this don't rise up again, because they know the type of power that this country, the kind of power they wield. And modern warfare is not just on the battlefield. It's politics. It's partnership. If I put sanction on you and you have more partner than me, my sanction on you is meaningless, because you have a lot of partner that you can deal with. So when you see the US coming to Africa and telling people, oh, you don't have to partner with this, you don't have to partner with that, when you suddenly see a man with a white face in Ghana, where certain people are saying, oh, a Russian man doing certain things to Ghanaians, a lot of people that are very, very intelligent will know this is part of the Western plot. Thank God for social media. Back in the days, imagine when they struck Libya, a lot of Africans were thanking them for destroying Libya. But guess what? When the social media came out, where people no longer have to consume the garbage, the morbid garbage of the mainstream media. Imagine if you are listening to Washington Post. Like I've always said, Africans are not being given information. Every time you see something on this mainstream media, what you're seeing is a weapon. And it is meant to inflict certain mental damage that is going to they want to get certain results. So outside the country, even the Americans, I was watching their TikTok channel because I'm on a TikTok. that one of my American brothers helped me to open. And I was seeing what they consume. And I'll be like, man, this country is not even sovereign. Like the US citizens, right? To be honest with you, you all are under some sort of highly deceitful. Like, I don't even know what these people are up to. They are not pushing up productivity. They are only pushing certain specific projects that belong to certain capitalists. They are not trying to push people to be more skillful. They are pushing the product of certain capitalists. They put people on bed and they are telling you that in China, this is how they treat patients. They slap the patient on their face. Man, I'll be like, man, I cannot believe what is happening over here, because I thought it should be different. I thought everything that Captain Ibrahim Traore is trying to reinforce here, this type of idea, I was thinking, man, this is what they be eating and drinking day and night over in the United States or whatsoever. And when I got to the TikTok and I saw, like, I was seeing what they are projecting. They're trying to make people mentally weak over there. Honestly, they're trying to handicap the citizen for the sake of just a few capitalists. This is what I see. The little time I've spent on their TikTok, I just be like, all right. And that is why they are surprised that China is coming out of the shadows. The shadow where they left them, China has outgrown them. And they are really, really surprised. When you have that population and you are not trying to empower their mind, it's a very, very big problem. Everything is not about the dollar, all right? So now let's rewind. In 2024, the United States was forced to withdraw its military, forces from Nigerian drone base 201 in Agadez, where they projected power over the entire Sahel region. $100 million facility. That's that facility. It was gone. Abdurrahman Chiani came in and told them, enough is enough. You got to go home now. So the same year, French forces were expelled from Mali, from Burkina Faso, and they were booted out of Niger. They were expelled from Mali and Burkina Faso, but we all saw what we saw in Niger. French forces were not told to leave in Niger. They were booted out. You saw the protest. The civilians and the Nigerian authority, they boot. You don't say you were diplomatically told. No, they were not told. They were kicked out. The civilians gave a deadline that on so date, if the French forces are not out of this country, we are going to overrun the whole military base. And the guy that was speaking said, we are sure that people are going to go down, but we are going to make sure nobody gets out of this base alive. So were you told to, is that a tell you, or is that we are going to, see, that's how they boot people out. So the Nigerians kicked them out of the whole show. So now, after they were dismantled from the whole region, right there was a vacuum, a security vacuum, all right, that will ascertain the sovereignty of those people, all right? And the next thing we saw was that Russia stepped into the show. And to be honest, a lot of people are tripping about Russia. You see, look at the whole coalition that left, right? And the next thing, they were planning an immediate destabilization campaign from the media that is going to attack the mind of the civilians. They wanted to create a situation where there will be an uprising, and that uprising will give birth to a very, very pretty contest as to why they need to go in there and carry out a rescue the people of Burkina Faso. Remember, General Michael Langley said something like, we need to go and save the people from certain individual and all of that. And the people were like, you are not coming to save us. The people's mind was already in the third phase of decolonization before they tried to launch all this military operation. Then Ghana, after the Ivorians, Nigerians, and all of that, after they said that they wanted to go into Niger and carry out anti-coup military operation, and Alassane Ouattara said, we are going to provide all the financial logistics and every other logistic that they will need from the resumption of this military operation to the end. And they were being backed by US forces, like the whole intelligence infrastructure was in place. You can't just tell me that some African leaders are going to wake up tomorrow and they're just going to be like, we're going to launch military operation. There were some foreign forces that were backing them up. And the moment the Russians stepped in, everybody just started, everybody just knew that, man, it's game over. Then the next person that tried to test them was, Burkina Faso was, what's his name? Akufo-Addo of Ghana. Then when Russia stepped in, Akufo-Addo just knew, like, we are already walking in a different territory. Because if you test them, you see, a lot of people, I heard from a certain platform where somebody said that China is the top security partner of the Sahel. No. Go and listen to the clip of Assimi Goita before the new year. He said, we have security partners. China and Russia are the main security partners, all right? But he said Turkey is like, we need something, we get it. So Turkey is not like a security partner. With Niger, Turkey's partnership has now been improved. It has been upgraded with Niger, but not with Mali and Burkina Faso. Turkey sells Bayraktar Akinci drone. It sells it to Sudan. If you can afford it and you have the legal validation to afford the Bayraktar Akinci, we are going to sell to you. These are sovereign states. They have the money, they have the resources, they have the political will, and they have the circumstance to justify why they need it. So Turkey is going to sell. So Turkey is doing business with the Sahel. It's not a security partner. But we respect Turkey because when everybody turned their back, again, like, man, the terrorists are going to crush you. You kick those out, they're going to crush you. We are not going to do anything. African Union, ECOWAS, European Union, everybody turned their back against Sahel. Turkey stepped up. We can give you this. So the whole picture that people are trying to paint, that Turkey is not a military partner. Now, according to Assimi Goita, whatever they need from China, China is ready to send to them whatever grade of capability. Can they afford it? Yes. And China will send the personnel to train the people on the ground. China has economic partnership. Now, according to General Assimi Goita, China is the economic partner of the Sahel states. You saw the hospital in Burkina Faso, the hospital in Bobo de la Soul, one of the greatest hospitals in Africa right now as we speak. Facility-wise whatsoever, that is China. You can see the mobile hospitals, right? The equipment in the mobile hospital, that is China. So when it comes to the economic transformation, the resources that is going to take Burkina Faso to that next level, that is China. All right. Now, when you talk about Russia, according to Assimi Goita, and I'm going to quote, he said that Russia is taking them to a whole nother level when it comes to military. According to Ibrahim Traore, he said Russia is a security partner. He said they exchange ideas. He said they tell us some things, we tell them some things. So they share idea. But when it comes to Mali, now I've given you the words of Captain Ibrahim Traore. Assimi Goita said Russia has double-layer security partnership with us. Have you seen any Chinese soldier on the ground? But you've seen Russian soldiers on the ground. So when you have over 2,000 Russian soldiers in Mali, what does that tell you? When you have a Russian base in Mali, what does that tell you? And remember what Vladimir Putin said. So I'm going to be explaining everything with what they said. Vladimir Putin said, and I quote, that anywhere a Russian personnel step his boots on is home to the Russians. So don't be coming and be saying Russia is there to fill a vacuum. The Malian people love the Russians. Are you aware that a huge amount of Malians can now speak the Russian language? Stay there and let Washington Post be lying to you. So, according to the information now, after they were kicked out of the Sahel in 2024 and the Russians replaced them, the US lost its foothold in the Sahel. And that loss, the US cannot recover from it. The US is so big and so bogus that they cannot just accept that we lost a very, very consequential country And the guys that took over from us are our biggest rival. So anything that is going to make Russia stronger, they don't want it. And you know, they believe that one of the ways through which Russia has been able to bypass sanction is their cooperation when it comes to economy with the Sahel. All the Rosatom agreement and all of that, the power plants and all of that, they know that the Sahel, they are really, really helping the Russians to bypass sanction. So that's why they are trying to put a lot of pressure on them. And what did the United States say? They said we are trying to negotiate our way with the Sahelian states, and we are trying to open up the NATO alliance to them so that the NATO umbrella can cover them. Who are they trying to get back into the house? The same guys that were kicked out of the house. So Mali is saying, now it's not just, you see, the beautiful part of this information is that it is not just the Malian, it's not just the Malian government that is making that unilateral decision. The people of Mali, even the name of the United States, it makes them angry. Then they are telling their regime that why should you even sit to talk to these people? You know, so when you have a synergy between the people and their government, that's all you need to know, man. So why is the United States floating this airstrike plan through the press, not through diplomatic channel? In a way of saying, they're trying to tell you that they are still relevant when it comes to the Sahel. You can't just throw it out of the way like that. So we can still project power here. It is less about the JNIM and it is more about optics. What they are trying to do is not really to save the Sahel from JNIM. It is more about optics. They just want you to know that, you know, Russia has not really kicked us out of the Sahel. You know, we are the United States. According to Donald Trump, we are the greatest country on the planet. Nobody can kick us out of anywhere. You know, even though Russia has kicked the entire NATO out of Constantinivka, and they don't want to accept, right? But, you know, the reality is just out there for those who can see and who are ready to see. Now, the United States official quoted in the Washington Post explicitly said that the blame for the deteriorating security of the Sahel falls upon Russia. Get that statement. It's not about what their good intentions are. It's about the what they want you to believe, right? Now, they said the Russians have proven to be ineffective in the security partnership that they have with Mali. Now, this is a direct shot, you know, against Russia. And by saying that they want to launch airstrike in Mali and they are willing to collaborate with the Malians, you know, Washington is essentially saying that it feels like they feel like Russia can no longer protect these people, and they can, you know, and you know, they think that the sales of their equipment is going to change whatever on the ground. Nigeria use MQ9 Reaper. Nigeria, in fact, you see, I still continue to tell you, like, terrorism in Nigeria now, nobody is coming close. So you have a failed security architecture in Nigeria, just the next door neighbor to Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger, and you want to come and tell those people to turn towards you. Like, what would be the strategic purpose, or what would be the tactical purpose of turning towards Washington? So Washington is essentially saying that this region cannot continue to rely on Russia. And by the way, the same official urged African governments to purchase US equipment and services. So this is not a counter-terrorism language. This is a business language. Buy more US products, even though most of it is made in China. Now, let's get to the third reason. Now, if the US, you know, never actually, you know, launch this airstrike, and I suspect they will never do it, you know, partly because they were, you know, the reason why they can't do it is because they will be violating Malian airspace without permission, and you already have Russians on the ground. So shooting at Mali in a standoff way right now is like shooting against Moscow. That is what it means. Remember, Vladimir Putin has offered even Burkina Faso whatever you need from us, including personnel. Just ask. So they can still claim, you know, they try to fight terrorism and all of that. It has been rebuffed by the statement of the Malian foreign minister. So the story is already out there. America wants to fight terrorism in the Sahel, but the Malian government said no. This is what they are trying to do. They are trying to manipulate people. Get the game here. This is a high level, high skilled manipulative game right here. So the narrative serves a purpose. We tried to help them, but they said no. So it paints Mali as being obstructional, all right, to counter-terrorism operation. And the US wants to paint themselves as the savior, so that most of their, allies in West Africa, like the Nigerians, can come out and be like, can you see, Mali is the problem. US said they want to help them. So, but it's not working because the mind of the people have been decolonized. All right. And it completely erased the fact that the United States never asked permission from Mali in the first place. And there's a way to do things in international geopolitics. You see, when you don't consult a sovereign government and you are not offering help, right, you are asserting dominance. And Mali understands that the administration, all right, has made it clear that the days of being treated as a theater of operation rather than a partner is over with. So Mali will not just let anybody jump into the yard and just, do whatever they like. And the third thing, the fourth thing that the United States is trying to do, and I'd like to present to you, is that the United States is making the statement hoping that there are some United States apologists in Mali that will be like, why not try the US? They sent Frank Garcia to us. And look at what just happened to our soldiers in the desert. They say they want to launch airstrikes. Or let's try them out. That is part of their strategy, hoping that Mali still has some US apologists. But that was a miscalculation, because every single Malian I've heard speak about this conversation, they did not only debunk, they did not only talk down on it, it was a complete destruction to the reputation of the United States. So the question is, why did you even bring your image into this kind of issue? Now, you see, I kind of believe that the United States has one of the best quality when it comes to military on the planet. A lot of people will say that the Venezuela operation was, collaboration and all of that. Let me tell you something. Even if Venezuela did not collaborate with the US for the kidnap of Maduro, the US is significantly stronger than Venezuela. And can Venezuela withstand these guys? I don't think so. But here is where the problem is. You can be strong, but when your strength is only to manipulate, to lie, to impose, to terrorize people, it is useless. You can be strong. We can see the strength. We can see the skill. But if your skill and your strength is to terrorize people, it is useless. I might be a good man, but I have to be good enough for a woman to see that I'm a good man, for her to accept me. I might be good, I might have every quality on the planet, but if she looks at me and she feels like I'm nothing, like to her, I'm nothing, she has a reason. And that means whatever I think I bring to the table is useless to her. So I take it somewhere else. So see, this is the case with the United States. You are a strong nation, we give you that. But as far as we are concerned right now, that skill is not useful because of what you did in Libya, because of your track record, because of what the metadata says about all your military tours, because of your mission in Iraq, because of how it ended in Afghanistan, because of how it ended in Syria with an Al-Qaeda terrorist now leading Syria. You get the game? So this is the problem. Mali is not trying to end up like Syria. So that's why they're saying we are going to stay with our Russian allies. Now, you see, this is where we are. The United States, through anonymous official and press leaks, is signaling that it may bomb targets inside the sovereign African nation. The nation foreign minister found out the way you and I found out about the information, right? From a journalist, from God knows where. Not in Mali, not journalist who has information on the ground. Not from a phone call, not from a high level, dialogue. rapprochement. Now, from an embassy meeting from journalists, Abdullahi Diop response was measured but unmistakable. Respect our sovereignty, consult us, identify our needs. All right, that's what is most important to us, and that is what real partnership looks like. All right, what do you think about this? Is this a genuine counterterrorism concern? Do you think Washington is so concerned about Mali? Or is this about reasserting influence in a region that has turned away from the West? So let me know your comments in the comment section below. I'm genuinely interested. And if you enjoyed the video, you can kindly do well to help us hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And if you're feeling generous, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. Because if you don't, you know that Android is going to cry. Yeah, you. So Mr. Swall 5650, I want to thank you for your donation. I really appreciate it. I want to thank By Design for coming into the house this evening. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Cabo Short Shot. I want to thank Cryptographic Talk, Kwame, Alognon. And I want to thank that Ghanaian brother that sent me money on our Telegram channel. I mean, you really did it. What you did was phenomenal, and immediately we were able to put it to work. You know, we really, really appreciate your contribution to the development. We really, really say thank you. And to every other person that keeps supporting, your likes are very, very, very necessary for this fight, because it gets the video to a lot of people that needs to hear the truth. You should know that we're in the age of warfare. You know, we're hearing now that they want to create a PSYOP unit that is going to, you know, because they know that the influence of the United States is dying as we speak. You know, let me tell you one thing that happened, right? I got to the American TikTok channel and I dropped 2 videos because of the quality of the video. By design, because of the quality of the video, it actually, you know, raked a lot of views. First 2 videos, you know what I'm saying? I was sure that it was going to make a lot of views because I know the kind of quality I bring. The third information was an information that will shake and kind of get their attention. They got the attention, they crashed the algorithm. Like, they destroyed the algorithm of the video. I just looked at it like, all right, I know now you can smell me that I'm here. So, like, the thing is, they have their own interest and they protect their interest. But, you know, at the end of the day, what they're doing is very, very bad, even to the detriment of the US citizens. I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to very, very clear with something. Yeah, there is a lot of opportunity in the United States, opportunity to make money, right? Opportunity to make money, but opportunity to be a boxer, opportunity to, I don't know, whatever opportunity you can talk about, right? But how about the creative opportunity? The opportunity that really, really takes people from 0 to 100. The opportunity that really, really makes a nation one of the greatest through the collective contribution of every individual, not just taxes. I'm talking about okay, you have the skill for certain thing. You have seen this. You are naturally gifted in this thing. And you feel like your contribution can really take the country to the next level. If you are not a white man, do you think that opportunity will fly? Is America built for certain people and not for everyone? You see, there will be a gap, and that gap will always be there between the rich and the poor as long as what you practice. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kalayadu. There will be a serious gap between the rich and the poor. You know, Elon Musk was celebrating 1 trillion and all of that, you know. And corruption will continue in the US, which I think is a very, very prominent thing, you know, in the I think corruption is very, very prominent over there. And the reason for this whole thing, you see, all those things you see on the internet and all of that is a lie. Corruption is like it's entrenched in the bones and the marrows, in the trabeculas of those people. What I believe is capitalism is counterproductive to nation building. Capitalism is a crime. And that is the same thing that is going on in Nigeria. All right? Where people celebrate Dangote, They celebrate Adenuga, they celebrate certain individual, but when you look at the level of poverty, you are going to be shocked. Nigeria want to project that Dangote is rich, so it means Nigeria is rich. But when you see 60% of Nigerians, you are going to be shocked to your marrow. People go to school, but they are meant to, the reason why they go to school is to come out of school, to come and serve certain people. And you know how, where as a Nigerian, you are not going to school to come out, to be independent and create, not just to feed your family, but what you create should have an effect on even the younger generation and the total output of the country, right? You are trying to go to school, come out, get a job. That is always the idea. Get a job. And get a job for what? When you get a job, the first few years, you might feel immune, but after some years, the slavery mentality will come into you. Where they be like, hello, where are you? Oh, sir, I went to eat. I went to drink water. I'll be back now. I have to get out of that circle. In China, do you think everybody is working for the government? Everybody is working for China, but they are not working for the government. Are you getting me? Everybody is working for China. They are producing everything that can be produced. I kind of believe that if you do something today and the Chinese feel that, okay, this thing is relevant to you, they've just seen only you, they are going to produce that thing because they know there is a client there. And they believe that if one person can like this thing, there's a possibility that a lot of people can like it. This is a complete manufacturing nation. That is why China will bypass sanctions. They will bypass anything. China is the superpower. The whole thing is case closed. And that's why I want black people all around the world to start thinking manufacturing. I ask myself every day, apart from the agriculture I'm good at, what else can I do? What can I craft? How can I meet the need of multiple people? It's just not about my medical skill. It's not just about my agricultural skill that I was born with right from when I was a kid. There should be more that I can offer. This is how we should think. This should be our inspiration to go into school. Look at Ibrahim Traore before he became the president. He had a plan. He joined the military. He knew that was going to be the only way to destroy that corrupt system. He became a geologist. Before he went to the school for studying geology, the country had a problem. They had a lot of gold. But regardless of the gold, it was one of the poorest nations on the continent. So he went to school so that you can't tell him anything about that resources. He knows the in and out of it. A geologist. Instead of bringing in, because he's a geologist, instead of bringing in engineers to come and build the roads, he told the people, I have been there, done that, and earned the badge. I will buy the equipment, you will do it yourself. Is Burkina Faso having a lot of roads now? Yes, they are. So you can see the mind, you can see the brain behind every step he took. So this should be how we should be moving. He can't continue this way. It cannot just continue this way. And one of the things that have been mostly counterproductive to everything we have done is that we invest too much time in religion than thinking about productivity. We have invested so much time in religion. In a country that works, where there is no corruption, people are not stealing from the people, nobody is lying to you, do you know that religion would not really be relevant like that? And even if you are practicing religion, there will be less need for maybe clerics of people to deceive you, to deceive you rather, sorry. I look at most of our imams around this place, they don't have a job. These guys, I told Brother Omar yesterday, we were talking in the midnight. I told him, I said, because he really could hear the mosque making noise in the middle of the night here. Brother Omar. He heard, and I told him, from the middle of the night till 12 p.m. in the afternoon, they are going to be in that mosque making the noise with megaphone. This is a symbol of people that are jobless. They have no contribution to the society. Why won't they be preaching Salafism to people? Why won't they be telling people that their religion told them to go and behead people? So this is, see, when you preach productivity, when you preach manufacturing, when you preach on the next level to people, they don't have time for that village witch that is trying to pursue their destiny. For our country and our society to work, it depends on what you and I have to put in place. It starts with one person, it starts with the second person, it starts with the third person. We can't always blame everybody. What do I contribute? What do you contribute? If these 223 people can beat their chests that our contribution to wherever we are is significant, I'm telling you, if we can continue like this, the world will be a good place. So families, I'm grateful for your attention. I'm grateful for your time. I don't take it for granted. And I'll see you on the next video.